Thank you, Hassa. Hello, تسمعوني هيك? So what I'm going to speak in my talk, it's going to be about Arabic typefaces. I'm going to make a link between the old manuscripts and the contemporary Arabic typefaces that were done, saying that the Arabic type is not being lost, it's being revived in a new way. So I'm going to start with some old Kufi manuscripts. Here you can see the old Kufi manuscripts, which were very rough and very rounded, very strong in identity. And we can see how the type has evolved, but it had this unique characteristics. And from that, you can come back to this new typeface, which is somehow inspired from the old Kufi, which is the font Bukra, which I did for Ibn Battuta Mall in Dubai. Here are the sketches, and also another sketches. The sketching process is always interesting because you sketch different approaches for each letter, depending on the characteristics type that you are following. And here you can make some comparison between the old and the new. So like these are the old lam alifs and the old kafs, and these are the sketches that are inspired from it and done in a contemporary way for the typeface. Again, the whole typeface showing. Then different weights were developed. So it started as a black and very strong type because it's inspired from the old Kufi, but then it developed into several weights. Here are just some proportional poster and type specimen. Here it's how it's being used in some places, initially in the Ibn Battuta Mall. And what it says now, it's different than what the Kufi was saying in a Quranic manuscript hundreds of years ago. So now it says Ra'a wa kul ma fihi rahib, whereas before it was maybe more serious religious script. So not only the shape of the type is changing, but also what you are writing in it is changing. And this is what makes it interesting about the Arabic script and language. Some examples of some clients that are using Bukra, like GM. And also recently the Bukra is going to be the corporate font for Hard Rock Cafe. We also did the Arabic logo for it, which is also inspired from the Kufi script. And here you can see some of the sketches to come up with the best word mark for the Arabic and what kind of ha we want to do with it, or what kind of a dal or a kaf. So we had to draw different kind of options for the letters and to write and to find the perfect balance for the word mark. So Hard Rock Cafe, Hard Rock Cafe. After we did all these sketches, we decided on one approach, and then we had to create the Arabic to have the same feel and identity as the Latin. At the same time, respect the Kufic script. So you can see that the same proportions were done, the same slant in the Latin we tried to keep, and the typeface that was used for the description was Bukra. Here is the final form of the logo. It's not going to be implemented directly, it's going to be implemented in the coming years. So hopefully in the coming year, you'll start seeing the Arabic logo in Hard Rock Cafes in the Middle East instead of the English one. Back to the old again. Back to the old Kufi, Archaic Kufi. Also some other examples. And then directly jumping from this to a graffiti in Beirut, which says Man huwa al-Arabi, which is also directly inspired from the way and the approach of the Arabic letters of the Kufi script. Here you can see some comparison, for example, the open ayn and the open ayn in the graffiti, and the very clustered, closed, rounded waw, and the inspiration from the old Kufi. Again, to the old, this is more the Eastern Kufi, which is a bit more developed than the archaic one we saw before. It becomes to be more calligraphic, more angular. Also some examples of manuscripts. And back to the present, with a sketch also for a graffiti. It says Habaltuna, if you can read it. But and here it's the participant Cristel working on the wall. So we started by sketching, then writing on the wall, then painting it on the wall, and then it becomes a graffiti at this one, which is now standing in Jisr al-Wati in Beirut. These are the comparison between the old and the new, again. And back to the old, to calligrams. Calligrams are figures that are done by calligraphy, and they were used throughout the Islamic art era. Back to the new, with a sentence says, Lira wara lira. It's based on the economic crisis that we live in. So we have to pay every time, lira wala lira. And the participant, Ali Bahsouni, was drawing it. What you're seeing now is part of a workshop which I did last month in Beirut, which is part of the White Wall event. It was a big urban graffiti event in Beirut that took place. And these are some of the participants that were in the project. So these are the sketches, and then from the sketches to the wall, then to the final piece. Again, to the old with the decorative type with some ornaments in it. And again, back to the new, this also an urban graffiti. It's inspired by the decorative approach of putting type inside a certain form. It's done by Yazan. He's a graffiti artist in Beirut. And it says Beirut, the art piece. So, and above it says Jumhuriyat al-Mawz, which is maybe Lebanon. And it's also inspired from, this is inspired from the square Kufi, and this is inspired from the Islamic ornamental type. So I'm just showing this part of the workshop just to say that in our modern contemporary design, we can really inspire from the traditional Islamic art and calligraphy and bring it in a new, revived way. And in this way, it will never be lost again, and it will be always being redesigned in a new way based on our contemporary life. So this is basically what I was showing again to the old. These are some sketches that were done by the calligraphers who want to take the ijaza in calligraphy. Back to the new with a wall done by Ali Rafai, also in Beirut, inspired from the pen stroke and the dot technique. Again, back to the old. Hopefully you will not be, so going to be old, new, old, new, old. So this is an old tombstone carved also in the Kufi script. Back to the new with the type that was done for Nada Debis for her cement carpet. So she did a huge cement carpet, and we did a type for it that was customized to work especially for this cement technique, how they want to make this embedded type in the cement. The carpet now is in the Mathaf Museum in Doha. This is the typeface that was implemented in the carpet. Back to the old, to the square Kufi. I'm trying to move also with the chronological way of how the Arabic type developed. So from the old Kufi to the square Kufi to the more calligraphic options, which are the Toulouse and the Diwani. So now we are the square Kufi with a very gridded approach. Also the old Kufi intertwined. Back to the new contemporary logos that are directly inspired from this technique. So Focus Gallery and Pavilion Dance Southwest. Saber or Khamsa. This is a cosmetics brand. This is for a NGO. And some trials for Saif Abdel Gharir group, also inspired from the square Kufi. To a bookshelf composed of 2/9, making this bookshelf also inspired from the square Kufi, sitting in the office. To clothing, and of course to other stuff. Here also some workshops which I usually do, which I'm going to also do here in Kuwait, which is the Square Kufi workshop. There are some pictures of last time or previous workshops that we did. it just shows how modern words or slang words, they can be placed in this square kufi technique and give this contemporary feel to it in a traditional way. Back to the old newspapers in the 70s. These are PDFs from Al Safir and Al Nahar newspaper in Beirut. They were all done by hand. In the 70s, we didn't have yet computers or fast printing technology. To the Mastari, this is more, we say Mastari Nasakh or headlines Nasakh. This is Al Nahar. Then to sketches for contemporary newspapers in the Middle East, to some words. Then here are some comparison between the old Nasakh and the modern drawings. So you can see the old Tah here, which is really the base from the Nasakh style, and here you can see the new or the modern Tah that has been drawn for this headline typeface. And you can also compare the others, the Ha, the Mim, the Lam, Alif. And then we come to the typeface itself. This was initially made for the Al-Ru'ya newspaper here in Kuwait, but then I think the newspaper closed for some reason, and it stopped being used. This is another font for Imarat Al-Yawm. So from the old layout for the newspapers and the handwritten calligraphy to the modern newspaper tabloids and the digitized contemporary typefaces. This is Al-Watan newspaper in Saudi Arabia. Again, back to the old with the Nasakh script. This is from the book that teaches the grammar of calligraphy. These are some other manuscripts. And back to the comparison between the old and the new. This was for the Droid project for Google. So you can see how the shapes are inspired directly from the calligraphic Kufi, but then some changes were done, like the counter was made slightly bigger, the descender was slightly made shorter to fit in the limits of this mobile technology. From it, the typeface comes. From the typeface, how it is being used and all the Droid mobiles and all Google web applications like Chrome and other applications. So it's the default font for the Google web and mobile applications. Here it's used in BBC Arabiya and Al Arabiya, Wikipedia, and other examples. Back to the old, now we're back to the Thulus. So this is traditional way of teaching Thulus, or how the letters in the Thulus are written. Some old Thulus manuscripts. And then to some sketches that are directly inspired from the Thulus style. It's for the Shawati type magazine in Abu Dhabi. So these sketches and the contrast in them were inspired from the characteristics of the Thulus, but drawn in a more contemporary aspect. Here are some other sketches, trying to see how we can make high contrast in the Arabic and not to lose the spirit of the Arabic. It was a bit tricky to know where to put the thin parts and where not to put it. Also because the type has to work within modern Latin type, like Bodoni or Didot, so we were trying to make the Arabic look as elegant and refined as the Latin should be. Back to the comparison between the old and the new. So we have the old Jim, the old Ain, the Sin, and the Ha. And then you can see below how the new letters are being drawn in a very maybe daring way, like cutting the descender of the letters and adding these very thin, high contrast parts in the letter, like in the Sin, and the Ain, the Ha, which are not present in the Arabic script, but adding them in a very studied way to make them still respect the Arabic script and not making it look fake or look Latinized. Coming to the typeface itself, then there are some close-ups or some letters. So how to decide to to, instead of making the full loop, how to cut it here and continue it, then start it again, and for the fa, the very detailed structure of each letter, and how each letter becomes a set of pen strokes, not only one shape. Here it's used in the magazine, Shawati magazine. So Shawati magazine is the cultural and it's a cultural magazine for Abu Dhabi, and they wanted this typeface to reflect their very elegant and refined spirit of the culture in Abu Dhabi. So, and this is how the type was meant to be. The type is only display; it cannot be used in a small text because it's thin letters. So it's only meant to be used as titling font. It's not meant to be used for text. And here you can see how it is coupled with a Latin that was created for it, which is inspired from the modern Latin. Okay, back to the old. Back to making some kind of what we call hybrid typefaces. So we have the Kufi script and we have the Naskh script. And if you merge them together, we try to get a hybrid typeface. So this typeface that was done for the Madhaf. So these are the old Kufi kafs, and this is the Naskh kafs. And what you see here is somewhere in between. Is it a Kufi or Naskh? We don't know. It's somewhere in between these two kind of scripts. And this makes the drawing of the letters interesting because you're trying to find a new way of drawing them, at the same time sticking to the old structure of the letters and the calligraphic forms of them. So also the old fa and then the new ones, how they are inspired maybe from here and from here, but done in a new way. Some sketches, weight tests. Trying different alternatives for the letters to see what. So these are more Naskh based hats, but how they are drawn, they look very geometric and very Kufic. Also Lam Alif, the Ain. So this is more Kufic. This is somewhere in between. This is Naskh and Kufic. Also work on the Latin in this, so we had also to work on the alternatives for the Latin type. And we did some ligatures to make the Latin come close to the Arabic by emphasizing the horizontal structure of the letters. So the letters, they link somehow more structurally because the Arabic has the baseline link. So this makes the Arabic and the Latin come closer together. This is the typeface. This is how it's being used in the museum. So it's used in the signage, corporate entities, and the publications. There was also another typeface done by Tara Atrisi, which is more the script type, which is complements this one, because the identity of the Madhaf is the link between the very maybe corporate serious type and the hand gestures, signs and type. So there was two typefaces complementing each other. Back to the old Kufi, modern Kufi and the Naskh, and also trying to merge them. The other typeface, which is Basit, which was done for contemporary Arabia. So here you can see also that the meme might be inspired from the structure of the Naskh meme, but the form it is being so geometric is more inspired from the Kufi. So if you mix these two together, we have also the Ain. Some sketches. Also some sketches. The typeface itself. And how some type specimen. And how it's being used for the event. Back to the old, the Naskh. And we come to a somehow slightly different approach of creating letters. So instead of drawing it by pen, we decided here in this project to do it by materials. So the first material we said it's going to be by stick and the paper. So the same structure, we try to follow somehow the same structure of the letters. So this traditional tah becomes this stick and paper ta. But if you follow the pen stroke, it's really the same as the old one. From it also the medial ha, some other letters, sin, kaf, waw, ra. This is inspired from the sail, from the sails of the boats. This project was a typographic and the city project with the Khat Foundation. We were trying to do a typeface that is inspired from Amsterdam and Dubai. And our team, which is me, Eric, and Jumana, we decided to take the concept of the port and the sails, because both cities are port cities. But it didn't come to a strong idea, so then we moved on to a different concept, which is sand and water. Because in Amsterdam, they say that they have made their land, so they have placed sand into the water to make the land. Also, what we see here, what we are seeing in Dubai, that with the islands, like the Palm Island, the World Island, and maybe the marina, they are either putting sand in the water or getting sand out to put water instead. And this is the same concept. So we started digging letters in the sand, then pouring wax in it, putting some cold water in it, which made the wax become stiff, and the sand to leaving us with a typeface. From this, we made some sketches. From these sketches, we made some other sketches. From this, we come to the typeface, to a specimen poster. And these are some examples of how we are using the typeface. These are some stencils done in the Hamra Arabic Language Festival. And we went out there and we made stencils of the typeface, and we wrote Hab al-Arabi, Ahki Arabi. We just wrote sentences to promote the Arabic language and to make the Lebanese love more the Arabic script and the language. Because there's many of Lebanese, they don't like much to speak Arabic or to be categorized as Arabic. Here also some simulations, how the type can be placed into cement blocks, or maybe carved out of a ceiling, or maybe just dug in the water. And the last project which I'll speak about, since we are now in the Arab Spring Revolution and all the graffiti coming out, this font I did during our small Lebanese revolution in 2005. And I don't know if you remember what happened in Beirut. It was when the Syrians went out of Lebanon, and we had our prime minister being assassinated. So there was millions of people in Beirut writing on the walls and on papers and on petitions. And from these I made some study of the writings of the people there and analyzed all different tools. From this I made some sketches. So it was not inspired from any calligraphic form, it was inspired directly from the handwritings of the Lebanese people, which we might say that is coming from the Ruqai style, because the Ruqai style is the handwritten style. But still it was different. So here you can see the different forms that I found for each letter. So I had to draw them all and then select the best or the most common. From these we did big skeletons, and I had also to spray them. So these are A2 letters to mimic the spray effect of the graffiti approach. From these we had to take some photos and make them digital, and there's the typeface. And now it's the present form, ballpoint and spray. The typeface is being also it's not yet out there, so people are not using it, but some are. Here it was used for, this is not a love song, which was a publication and exhibition in Dubai in support of the Palestinian cause and revolution. And this is it, but not yet. This is a promotion for a font that is going to be out soon from 29 Letters Type Foundry. It's called Azir. And now it's finished. So thank you. So any questions?
Any questions? Hello.
Hello.
You mentioned Google in your speech, but
Yes.
We didn't understand it. Was it a project with Google or something?
Yes, we did the Arabic type for the Android and the Chrome platforms. Because Google wanted to make this platform and has its own custom made. So they get in contact with all type designers from all over the world. So there's people from Russia, from China, from Greek, from all the places. So I was the one from the Arab world. And I was responsible to making the Arabic type, beside all the other languages. So once you get a certain mobile that uses Android in it, like Samsung or HTC or HEDA, or if you're using Chrome on your web application and you open an Arabic website, or you're typing a text or something, the font will be Droid Nasakh. So and the font is open source, so everyone can download it from Google Web Fonts, and you can use it for free, and you can change it. It's part of Google's way of thought, because they commission people to work, but then once there's a project or a work, they offer it as a open source, so it's open for use for everyone. So.
I think most of us, unfortunately, have lost the touch with the Arabic script. You know, the last time we knew that there's types where when we used to study Arabic and we knew the traditional ones, the Kufi, the Naskh, whatever. The issue now is, can you tell us a little bit what's happening on the Arabic script evolution? You know, in terms of, is there any standard body that's keeping track of what's happening? Because what we've seen in the presentation, maybe thousands of variations of the traditional ones, which became some kind of patent to the organizations who request these things. But is there any standard body or like a community who's keeping track of the evolution of the traditional ones that we as a normal users can have access to, can, you know?
You mean if there's like a certain organization?
Yes, like organization, or from your experience, if we want to get in touch with the Arabic script again and come back, because all what we know, most of us, is the traditional ones, but we don't know if they evolved other than what we see in the magazines and the publications, and usually these are project-based sort of. So is there a new Kufi that's being standardized, for example, or a new Naskh that's being standardized and available, and you know, what's happening? Can you tell us a little bit what's happening?
I think it helps also to make a standard, view about what's happening now, because depending on the designers and the client and the approach for the project, it might be that each type designer makes his own approach to the contemporary typefaces that he or she are creating. Documenting it, I don't see any kind of organization documenting what's happening at the moment. But maybe some other organization, like the Nuqat Foundation, or maybe events like Nuqat or other stuff, these design platforms that are promoting the Arabic and the Islamic design movement. But I don't think there is or should be a certain organization that should make a standard that this is what should be done and this is what shouldn't be done. Because if this happens, then maybe the creative level will not be at a certain level, or it will limit our creativity. I think what needs to be done is the archiving. Yeah. I think during conferences and like with these organizations, this is the only way that you can know about them.
I think a lot of people are, including you, are struggling of creating a variation of the old and trying to jump back and forth and make a comparison between the new and the old.
Yeah.
Have you done any experiment or research on the way we arrive at these forms in terms of, for example, the way we hold a drafting device like a pen or a pencil? If I give a bunch of pencils to the audience here, there are many ways that they hold that pencil, and there are many ways of the paths that they follow to create that letter, and even the geometry that they create. What's more important here to me is the path that has been followed to create that same exact geometry and the way, the different ways of holding that device. This might yield a different results. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, if you have the same letter, you can make several glyphs out of it, and this is the difference between the letter and the glyph. So when you say a certain ha, for example, the ha is a sound, is a phoneme, or it's like a spiritual letter. But once each one of us takes a certain pen or a tool, maybe someone takes a pen, a spray, a kaza, or a calligraphic pen and writes it, it gives a different aspect to it. And the tool that you were saying, that it is the first aspect that gives the shape for these letters. Each designer, what is his background about the script, and what is he using as a tool gives the form, the new form. And this is basically how it's been done. Like also in my project, like with the Hamsa project, we use pen and paper and wax and sand, which is really out of the normal how to make letters. And we came up in a new design approach than writing directly by hand or using a pen. So it's all what you're saying, that the tool effect and the person who is writing it affects. So.
Thank you very much, Pascal.